Cheese balls, crackers, and chow mein. Welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan. Welcome back to the third installment. Today we look into the top 10 small forwards of the NBA. I think we should just get straight into it as always.
Yeah.
Save.
My number 10, although I think a lot of people consider him a shooting guard, I didn't have room on my shooting guard list, so I just snuck him in here. I've got Jaylen Brown having a bit of a breakout season this year, 20 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and developing his game on the defensive end as well. I think
You didn't have any honorable mentions before?
I didn't actually have any honorable mentions for this week.
Okay, I was going to say I had six, and one of mine was Jaylen Brown. I'll say last week in the power forwards, Xavier and I forgot to mention Zion, so we'll just clear that up because I know a couple of people were questioning that.
Although I would not have put Zion on my list. He would have been an honourable mention for me. He probably would have been my number 12 after John Collins. There's a bit of controversy there, I think.
Okay, well, just on Jaylen Brown, do you think him or Tatum should take the starting or the scoring role?
I think Tatum is probably a better scorer, but I think Jaylen Brown brings other things to the table. But I think Tatum's the better player and the better scorer, so I think Tatum.
Okay, I might receive a bit of criticism for my number 10 because he's above Jaylen Brown, and I've got Danilo Gallinari.
Mm.
Because OKC are surprisingly the fifth in the West, and he's averaging 19 points and 5.5 assists. And he's an efficient shooter. He always has been. He's been held back by injuries in his career. This year's first in scoring off screens, and he's an unbelievable catch and shoot player. And I think he'd be a good fit in Milwaukee, to be honest. I feel like Wes Matthews hasn't really taken up that role. They could take on someone like Danilo.
He did have the trade rumors to the Heat, didn't he?
He did. He
Yeah,
did.
as a Heat fan, what do you think about that?
I was hoping we would actually manage to secure him, but unluckily we didn't. We got Crowder in it and Iguodala, so it's not too bad.
My number 9, Danilo Gallinari. So 19.2 points, 5.5 rebounds. Same reasons you said. Really good shooter and taking a big scoring spot in that Oklahoma lineup.
My number 9 is Bojan Bogdanovic, and he surprised me when I checked his stats. He's averaging a cool 20 points.
He would be my honourable mention if I was to have one. He did not make my list.
He 45% from the field and 41% from three. And this year's hit two crazy buzzer beaters against star-studded teams, Houston and Milwaukee. I was watching that Houston one live. I don't even know how he managed to get it off, let alone hit the shot. So, big player in the clutch.
My number 8 is Brandon Ingram. First time All-Star this year, really coming into his own now that he's been traded to the Pelicans. 24 points, 6.5 almost rebounds, 4 assists. I think he's a good defender with his length, good scorer, can score in isolation, and his 3-point shots come a long way since last year. And an underrated playmaker, mind you.
Yeah, he has. He has developed and really taken on that role. My number 8, and I'm still unsure about this one. I've got Jason Tatum. Still think it might be a little bit low. He's averaging 23.5, 7 rebounds, 1.4 steals, and a block. So he's really taken on, carrying Kobe's legacy on. And as a rookie from 3 to 10 feet within the ring, he knocked down just 26%, and that number's up to 43% this year. So he's vital for their success this year, and he's improved his defense, and I think he's on the verge of becoming a superstar.
My number 7 is Jason Tatum. I think I'm just one in front of you, Dylan, for the last few. 23.5 points, 7 rebounds. I think he showed flashes in his rookie season playoff series with his dunk on LeBron and so on, but he's really come into his own this year. Maybe even the Celtics' best player. Well, maybe that's a debate for another day, but yeah, first All-Star.
He's a clutch rookie. He is a clutch rookie. And people were criticizing him for not having a game over 30 points before this year, and
Yeah,
he's 30.
I
Yeah,
have seen those stats. He's dropped 30 many times this season. So
39, which is his career best. So I'm glad he's, proved them all wrong. My number 7 is Chris Middleton. He averages 21 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal. And I think he's probably the best player in the game at making terrible shots. He really is. Last year, he averaged just a mere 18 points. So he's improved. He fits in. His field goal percentage is 50% this year, and he had a career best 51 against the Wizards. And Zave, do you think he's overrated, underrated, or neutral?
I think that's probably one of the tougher questions you've given me, Dylan. I think maybe I underrate him a little bit, but I definitely think there are some people out there that overrate him. I think he's probably around the middle. I don't think anyone rates him quite right, but a lot of people overrate him and a lot of people underrate him.
I think he could be underrated in my mind, but he was an all-star this year, so
And last year, back to back.
yeah, he's definitely finally getting the respect he deserves.
My number 6, Dylan, as I said before, I think I'm one in front of you, Chris Middleton. 21 points, 6 rebounds. But he's one of the most efficient shooters going around in our game today. And he almost 40, 50, 90 this season. I think he'll be hoping the regular season can get back underway because he's just 0.001% on the field goal to get in. He's shooting 0.499 from the field, 41.8% from three, and 90.8% from free throw. So I think he'll be hoping he can get into that elite class.
Jeez, I didn't know that. He's definitely under the radar in all aspects, I think.
Literally one shot, one dunk, one layup away from being 40, 50, 90.
My number 6 is Brandon Ingram. Heading into his 4th year, he's taken the major step this year, averaging 24, 6 points up from last year. He's fitting in extremely well with the young core at New Orleans. Himself is young, and they will definitely be a contending team in years to come. First-time All-Star, and he's taken on the role of the main scorer. However, he's wanting a max contract, and I've got another question. Do you think he's worth it?
I definitely think he's worth it. If I was the Pelicans, I would be giving it to him. Based off this year with almost averaging 25, I think he's still young, got a lot of room to grow. I would be giving him a max contract without hesitating if I was the Pelicans.
Okay.
My number 5 is Jimmy Butler playing for your team, Dylan. I know you had him as a shooting guard. You've told us previously, but he's on my small forward list and comes in at number 5. 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and 1.5 steals. He's an elite defender, elite on offense. Yeah, elite on defense, elite on offense. His playmaking's come a long way this year and one of the best leaders in the NBA, taking Bam, Tyler Hero, and Kendrick Nunn under his wing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Huge role model. He's taken on that role of being the main scorer as well. Said that a couple times, but no hesitation to draw fouls, drive in. He'll take the criticism and just keep going and improving on it. My number 5 is Paul George, averaging 21, 5.7, and 4 assists this year. But he's been disappointing in the last few years, which is hard to say because he's one of my favorite players. I've got his Indiana jersey. I don't think it's the same playoff P that Indiana saw, especially after he averaged 28 last year. He's taken the step back just to gel with Kawhi and the other stars. I do hope he improves. I'm assuming you do as well because he is good to watch when he's hot.
Now, just quickly on Jimmy Butler, I forgot to say I was watching a Jimmy High Roller video on which current player is most like Michael Jordan, and he did one on their leadership styles, and he had Jimmy Butler, and I think that's a very good representation with his sort of authoritarian approach and similar to Kobe and MJ. And then my number 4, just like yours, Dylan, Paul George, averaging 21 points this season. But I'd like to read out his statistics from just last year. Last year, he averaged a career high 28 points per game, a career high 8.2 rebounds, equal career high 4.1 assists, and a career high 2.2 steals. He was top 3 in the MVP race and top 3 in the Defensive Player of the Year race. I think last season, although we all love him in Indiana, I think last season was his best season, despite getting eliminated in the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that, Dylan?
Yeah, it definitely was his best season. I don't know how they managed to struggle against Portland. He kind of not took a step back, but I think just struggled to, have the confidence to shoot after he missed shots. But hopefully this year the Clippers can go a long way. I don't know if you want that to happen as a Lakers fan.
I don't think so. That would not be good, but I think they're the deepest and probably most talented roster in the NBA. So I could see it happening for sure.
I mean, when
on Paul George, I think he was sort of limping towards the end of the season as well with his injured shoulder that he had surgery on in the off season. But I think that was hurting him towards the end of the season, mind you.
When you have Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell off the bench, you're definitely going to be a hard side.
And they got better at the trade deadline. Trade deadline, adding Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson, who the Lakers were going after, mind you, both of them.
They got Markeith. My number 4 is Ben Simmons, averaging 17 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. However, don't know if people agree with me, but I think the stats are a bit generous. I've said this multiple times. I don't think that 76ers team has the chemistry to go far this year, at least. Last year, they were a different side. I think Jimmy Butler helped them. He needs to be able to shoot and, have the confidence to take those big steps to improve his game. But luckily, he's only 23 and he has an unbelievable future. So do you agree on that? Do you think they should make moves, or?
I'd like to see them keep Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid together, but I could see them moving the rest of their team around in Al Horford, as I've spoken on before, Tobias Harris, and Josh Richardson would be a good trade piece as well. But I guess we'll have to see how they go. I think the break in the season is probably good for them with being able to get Simmons and Embiid healthy again. So see if they can make a playoff push. Simmons also didn't make my list because I'm going to have him in the point guard list. So
okay, yeah, I wasn't too sure on that. Small.
My number 3, back-to-back Clippers players for me. Kawhi Leonard, 26.9 points, 7.3 assists, 5 assists, 7.3 rebounds, and a steal and a half a game. One Defensive Player of the Year before. He's got 2 Finals MVPs. Very good player, but the 2 in front of him, I think, are just better than him. They've been doing it for longer, and they don't take every second game off. So, I think.
Yeah, I need to that only all season.
Yeah.
My number 3, I assume you'll have him, is Kevin Durant. Last year, obviously, we can't take his stats this year. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists on a stacked Warriors team, maybe the best in history, most likely the best in history, and he might be the best scorer I have ever seen. Your thoughts?
I think the stats that you had may have been his career stats, because the stats that I've got is 26 points, 6.5 rebounds, and almost 6 assists. But obviously stacked Golden State team. On the scoring debate, I think he's the best scorer of all time.
Yeah.
I know that maybe Jordan, Kobe, and Wilt Chamberlain all have the numbers over him, even Harden, but Kevin Durant, he's a 4-time scoring champion, and he can score at all 3 levels. He's like almost 7 foot, so obviously he's going to be able to dunk and finish, but he's got an elite mid-range game, can shoot the 3, he's been 40, 50, 90 before, and he can shoot over anyone that he wants. So
I've got 2 quick things to say. One, his length. Some people named him Slender Man, and when he has that athleticism, and he doesn't really need the muscle because he can just, with his length, obviously, block shots.
I think he also developed into a well above average defender while in his time at Golden State. He's been able to protect the rim in recent seasons, averaging over a block a game last year. So he's my number 2.
And number 2, I think it's crazy to think that Oklahoma City have had 8 out of the 10 scoring titles in
Yeah,
the.
I did see that one fairly recently. A bit crazy, yeah.
And weekly story, I've heard lately that the Warriors staff weren't overly excited over winning the 2018 championship.
Mm.
Thoughts
Did you
on?
see Kevin Durant's comment on that?
I did.
I think, just paraphrasing, he said something about them.
I'm smiling,
They looked pretty happy in that photo. So
but
I reckon, obviously, you're going to be happy no matter what if you're winning championships. So
yeah,
I think,
exactly.
even with all of the hate that came his way, I think he's fine winning his championships. He's happy in the position that he's being put. So
I was going to say something about him moving because I'd loved him before Golden State, and obviously now I like him again. So I won't say anything about that. But we'll move on from KD. Number 2 is Kawhi Leonard. As you said, he's averaging pretty solid numbers, 27 points, and he's been better after the All-Star break after a rusty start. Hopefully, he can play back-to-backs now, and he's become a world sensation after hitting, no doubt, the clutchest shot in NBA history.
yeah, no doubt.
No doubt.
So you don't reckon the Ray Allen one is just as clutch?
I mean, it is clutch.
Yeah,
Oh,
not as clutch though. You don't reckon?
yeah, true.
As a Heat fan as well,
As a Heat fan, I know.
Game 6 buzzer beater
Mate,
would have been series over. They wouldn't have won that championship, guaranteed.
if it was on the buzzer, like Kawhi's, I think it probably would be the best. But
I think last year they said that Kawhi was the only person to hit a Game 7
yeah,
buzzer beater, walk off buzzer beater. So
yeah, the only other ones I can remember, Game 7, I remember Chris Paul with 1 second left in 2015. And then you'll have to go a bit before that. But now you've doubted my mind here. I love Ray Allen, but I think nothing beats a Game 7 walk-off buzzer beater. Knowing that you don't have to go play them again, just move on. So, yeah, I think.
I think he's become a bit of a meme as well. He's got some famous sayings out there. Obviously, his laugh, the "What it do, baby." He's got a few other ones as well. Not as good as my number one. My number one, LeBron James from the Lakers, best player of all time. It's not close. This year, he's averaging almost 26 points. He's about to win a scoring title, averaging 10 and a half assists, 8 rebounds, half a block, and over a steal a game. His defense has picked up again this season with the addition of AD. I think before the season started, he said on the jump, I think it was, he was saying he wants to hold all of his teammates to the same defensive standards as he holds himself, and he wants them all to be all defensive. And he said that included LeBron, and I think he's shown that. I think maybe he could make all defensive second team, but it would be an interesting one to see. But elite season, I think if it had kept going, he would have won MVP, because I think just towards the end of the season, he'd beaten Giannis, he'd beaten Kawhi. He was coming full steam. Still going to win the championship, going to win Finals MVP. Going to add to his resume, best player ever, not close.
I don't know what to say after that. Do we just end it? No, I'll say a couple of things. LeBron sits quite close to my heart. On a stacked Lakers team, I wish we could see the conference finals right now. And I have no doubt, hopefully not any doubt after Kawhi, but no doubt that the Lakers-Clippers games, at least 4 of them would finish within 5 points or less.
I think it's going to probably come down to, I think this year, I can't really see the championship going anywhere other than the Clippers, the Lakers, or the Bucks. And I think maybe at the end of the year, maybe the person that wins, assuming all of them are fit during the whole playoffs and the finals, maybe the person that wins it this year out of those 3 will be the best player in the world. Maybe LeBron's not going to be the best next year. But as I said, I think he's going to win, and I think he's going to be the best.
And
I think the Lakers have a bit of a doomed thing, though, because if they lose, I think LeBron's going to get criticised. Like, you've got another top 5 player in the world. How can you not win? But if they win, I think he should get all the more praise, because the Clippers team, as I was saying before, is a much better team. They've got 2 top 10 players in Kawhi and Paul George. They've got the 2 best bench players in the league, with Williams and Montrez, and they've got just a deep team. Like, a lot of people that play there go under the radar, like Landry Shamet, all of their other bench players, just good players, good team, deep team.
Shooter. I was just about to get onto that actually. His criticism, I think a lot of the hate he receives is from people who believe Jordan is better, and they want to target every little mistake, every possible mistake he could. But yeah, I know you're not a fan of that.
Nah, I think that a lot of Jordan fans get on him more than perhaps the LeBron fans do. You see, like in recent days, like Paul Pierce was saying LeBron isn't top 5. Someone else, I think Charles Barkley, had him number 8 all time. But I think a lot of the Jordan fans just disrespect LeBron, but I don't really think that LeBron fans disrespect Jordan as much. I don't think you'll see too many people having him not number 2, but even number 3, like with Kareem at number 2 probably. I don't think too many people have him lower than 3.
I'm going to steal your weekly stat. I'm going to say that I saw a stat and it said LeBron had scored 8,000 points on Paul Pierce. 8,000? I think it was.
Yeah, I did see that one as well. I've seen a lot. I've got a lot of LeBron stats, but there was another one I saw just today. There's 10 current NBA franchises since 2004. LeBron has scored more points in the playoffs than 10 franchises. So every single player in every single one of their series, LeBron has scored more. Been to the finals 8 times in a row. Just best player in the world.
No, even though he did go 3-6, a lot of those times well, not a lot of those times, but 2007, Cleveland team against a stacked Spurs team. And then 2018-17 against that Warriors team. So I think 3 of those, a little bit, the other team had a handicap.
I was listening to someone, I can't remember who it was, but out of all of the finals that LeBron has been to, the only one that he was favored to win and didn't win was the Mavericks one.
Yeah.
In other words, like 5 of his 6 losses, he wasn't even meant to win. Like those, 2 or 3 Golden State ones, like they were the best team probably ever, along with like the Bulls and Lakers, probably best team ever.
Yeah.
It's tough for him to win when he's being backed into a corner like that. But I think it's a bit of a lose-lose for him, because if he didn't make it to the playoffs, he's going to cop criticism for not making it to the playoffs. If you lose in the first, second, or third round, it's going to be, why'd you lose in the first, second, or third round? And if he makes it to the finals and loses, it's going to be, you made it to the finals, why didn't you win? So,
now, I'm not all anti-LeBron, because I do believe that they should have taken that 2011 final, and that Game 5 performance, Game 5 or 4, wasn't overly great, but...
Yeah. I'm a massive LeBron fan, and I agree with that. I think that's the only blemish on his career that he's ever had. So
yeah.
Outside of that, he's done everything well. Just one fade. I don't know what happened, what was wrong with him, but it wasn't too good.
8 points.
And I think just on like the Ray Allen saved his legacy, that's just fake. Like I was saying before, he had one of the most clutch shots in NBA, but if you actually watch that game, LeBron's 4th quarter was ridiculous. He scored, I don't know the exact number, but he scored more points than the rest of the Heat team in that 4th quarter. And I think Ray Allen only scored like 5 points for the game. So.
And in Game 7 against Indiana in the conference finals, he had 45. And in Game 7 against the Spurs, I think he had a near triple-double, I want to say. He had 37 points. Before we wrap this up, I know it's a small forward conversation. We've kind of just taken over with KD.
With the GOAT discussion as well. I could talk for so much longer as well.
I want to talk about your playoff predictions, because you said that there was only 3 teams you think could win. Are you sticking by that? You don't think there's any other team who has a chance?
I think there's going to be upsets and stuff, but I think the championship's going to go to one of those 3 teams.
Okay, yeah.
I think they're by far the best teams. Like, with all respect to the Heat, although the only other team I could see challenging them is the 76ers, but I don't think they're going to go well at all, really, in the postseason. I think they'll get out of the first round, probably lose in the second, depending on who they match up with, obviously, in the first. But I think if they could somehow get everything right, they've got the talent and the pieces to contend, but I think we'll go to one of those three teams.
The Heat are 2-0 against the Bucks this year.
I like the Heat, but Jimmy Butler isn't Giannis, so.
I agree. Anything else to ask? Anything else to say?
Nothing else from me, Dylan.
All right, that wraps us up for the first Zoom discussion podcast, whatever you want to call it. Next week is the shooting guards, and I think our lists will differentiate, I want to say. We'll have point guards, and then who knows what we'll go on to. We'll have to come up with some more ideas. I know that you want to do your GOAT discussion.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be a debate.
I'll talk for a good 40 minutes on that one, for sure.
I will fire, opinions of Jordan fans, and
I think we might need to get a Jordan fan on the podcast to debate it with me, because okay. I think what's your opinion on the debate, Dylan?
I don't know. I'm kind of just
up in the air. Well, maybe I'll try and convince you.
Yeah, you've got to convince me. Yeah. But until then, we'll see you next time. Thank you for listening, and catch you later.